Hey, it's Vicky, and today I'm here to share my reading plans for October. October is one of my favorite months of the year because it's all about Halloween and spooky season, and this is just my favorite. Halloween is my favorite holiday, so I have lots of spooky reads planned, so let's dive in. So my first kind of top priorities for October are to read my 5-star predictions. I posted a video about this in September, and I have to wrap these up by the end of October. So obviously I'm going to prioritize these first thing. And those 3 books were, the first one is White is for Witching by Helen Oyeyemi, and this is I believe it is sort of a haunted house story about a family, and there are multiple generations living in this house. And I think like the grandma or the mom, one of them passes away, and then one of the kind of younger girls in the family starts to have some strange experiences happening to her. So I think this is going to be really good. It's going to deal with grief. It has the whole haunted house aspect. I'm totally for it. My next 5-star prediction is The Hollow Kind by Andy Davidson, and this one also deals with a sort of haunted house situation. I sort of did this not on purpose, but all my 5-star predictions center around a haunted house. And this one is about a woman who has a young son, and she inherits a house from her grandfather or great-grandfather, and she moves to it, and it's in like a rural part of, I want to say the American South. And she gets there because she is actually also trying to get away from her ex-husband who is abusive, and so she wants to move there because he probably won't be able to find her. And when they move into the house, though, they pretty much start to notice that it's haunted. So again, great haunted house vibes. It's gonna have, you know, that sort of, not family drama, but just sort of that like underlying sort of like real life themes of like, I'm assuming, I don't know, like, I don't think it probably like grief and dealing with abuse and things like that. So on top of like being a haunted house story, I think it's gonna be awesome. And then my last 5-star prediction is a fun one for me. I know this isn't gonna be for everybody, but it is a graphic novelization of Abigail by King Diamond, which is a 1980s heavy metal concept album. A concept album is basically an album where all of the songs sort of have a similar like theme, or they tell a story. In this case, they tell a story. Each song as you listen along tells you a story, and the story is about this couple that once again they inherit a house from a dead family member, and when they move into the house there are some spirits there, and one of the spirits is named Abigail, and that's all I'm gonna say. I really like the album, and the story is really solid, so I'm really excited to see the story be told in this format. Then to get into the rest of my TBR, I have a current read going. I haven't quite started this. I'm about to start it though, like after I turn the camera off. I'm gonna be reading Rouge by Mona Awad, and this one I got from my library, and it is time sensitive. I have to return this by October 5th, I believe. So I gotta read this first thing. And this one, I have never read Mona Awad, but I really want to give her a try because I've heard that her books are weird, but in a good way. And this one sort of centers around sort of the beauty industry and like that whole sort of side of, I don't think it's gonna touch on social media, but just that whole side of like the beauty industry, skincare and aging, anti-aging, and like all this sort of stuff. And it deals with our main character, who I believe her mom passes away, and she has to move back home and sort of take care of all of the affairs that come with losing a parent. And her mom was really into that stuff. And I think the story is that like she went to this particular like spa but it was like a weird spa. I don't know. It sounds weird and something that I want to try. It seems like it's going to deal with the mother-daughter relationship, which is something I'm always interested in. So I'm gonna give Mona a Wa to try, and I'll let you know how it goes. And then another library hold that came in that I want to make sure I get to is Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is another author that I've been wanting to try. I know she typically writes poetry or books in verse, and so this is like her first like novel. So I've never even read her poetry before, but this appealed to me, A, because this cover is beautiful, B, because it deals with a family where I think the grandmother, she has this ability to know when people are gonna die. And one day she calls everybody in the family to her home because she wants to have a living wake because somebody in the family is going to die. But she hasn't revealed who, I think is like what the story is. So it's gonna have some mystery, it's gonna have some family drama, it's gonna have some, I'm assuming some sort of supernatural thing going on. So I'm really intrigued by this and I can't wait to read it. Then we have the Buzzword challenge for October, and the word, initially I thought that the Buzzword challenge was for this month was just magical words. And so I was like, okay, because I was going to use white is for witching, because witch to me is like a magical word. But then yesterday, Kayla, who runs the Buzzword Reading Challenge, posted on Instagram and said, I would really like you or challenge you to actually find a book with the word magic in the title. So I had to. I was like, I have to find a book with magic in the title. And I was kind of looking, and quite a few of them didn't appeal to me when I read the synopsis, but I did find one right here at home that has the word magic in it, and it's a very short book, so even if I don't like it, I won't have wasted much of my time with it, and that is The Magic Finger by Roald Dahl. And I can't tell you what this book is about because there isn't really a synopsis on the back. I'm assuming it's about a kid who has a magic finger and it does something. Literally, this book is like 56 pages long. So even if it sucks, it was only 56 pages and it will fulfill the challenge for me. So there you go. Next we have my Kindle Pick for October, and this month I'm going to be reading Shirley Jackson's We Have Always Lived in the Castle. I have only read The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, and I really enjoyed it. I really liked her writing. This story I'm not super familiar with, other than I know it has to deal with a family that lives in a big old house, and that's about all I know about it. So, and that it has some sort of like shocking ending or something. So I guess we'll see. But it's one of those sort of horror classics that I've never read and want to read, so I'm gonna read it in October. And then my last read for October is Stephen King's new book, Holly. This one, I obviously purchased it, and it's an anticipated release, but I have to say it's not one that I'm super like gung-ho excited about, because Holly has been in a couple of Stephen King's books. She was in the Bill Hodges trilogy, she was in The Outsider, she was in his, is it a short story or a novella? Whatever they're called. It was called If It Bleeds. And she's a character that clearly Stephen King just can't let go of, and that's why he's finally given her own book. But for me, I'm like, she's fine. Like, I'm not like one of those like Holly stans. Like, I'm like, she's fine. So what this book I believe centers around is that Holly, it runs a detective, like a private detective agency, and she gets called to solve a case, I'm assuming. And so it's going to be kind of like a detective mystery. I don't know if it's going to have any sort of supernatural element or not. With Stephen King, you never know, probably, but I don't know. So we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I'm sort of indifferent about this one, but I had to check it out, so I'm going to. All right, so those are my reading plans for October. Please let me know down below if you're planning on reading anything spooky in October for Halloween. I would love to know what you want to read. And yeah, I hope that everybody enjoys this season. Like I said, it's my favorite time of year, so it's a great time. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great month, and I will talk with you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.